Have you seen on TikTok the woman who's secretly a rat?
No, of course you're on rat TikTok.
Obviously. Um, it's so funny. It's stupid, but for me, it's hilarious.
Where are the quiet gays? Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
How's my sound?
It's good.
Fantastic.
You're back in your apartment.
I'm back.
Hey.
Yes.
How is it over there?
Fine, a little smoky, but we're rocking and rolling. And guess what?
What?
I've been the most productive human on earth this morning.
I just woke up 10 minutes ago.
I've been up since 6:45. I already got an oil change. I already did my laundry. I made an egg breakfast. I made a latte.
Wow.
Yeah, I do have to walk back to the shop and get my car after this. But that's beside the point.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be productive after this.
Yeah, there you go. You don't even have to. You can do whatever you want.
I do because I have my girls. So I'm gonna take them to the skate park. I have to drop off my girlfriend's uniform at the dry cleaning, do something with a patch. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing. I gotta go grocery shopping. What else do I need to do? There were some other things. I gotta send an important email, which is gonna take me like 30 minutes to compose. That's gonna be my productive day today.
There you go.
Yes. I finished the book yesterday and I had to like not text you about it because I was like, what?
I know. I was trying really hard when you said that when you were like, it's all coming to a head. I had to try so hard to not be like, girl, wait. Girl, just wait.
Which part?
It's gonna
Which
get
part?
worse.
Oh my God.
Because I didn't want to give it away that like things were happening.
I cannot wait to read the third. Okay, you know what? Let's do our intro. You want to do it?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Lesbian Book Club podcast. We are so happy you're here. You're here with Haley and Lauren, and today we are talking about Leverage by E.J. Noyes, the second book in the Halcyon Division series. And it's been a little bit since we read the first one in the book, or in the series, and so we're back. And to just give you a brief overview of what the first one was, we had Lexi Martin, our main character, who this is told from her point of view. She is an intelligence agent in the government. She's kind of a double agent of sorts because she also is in the secret Halcyon Division. And the Halcyon Division's purpose is kind of to work as a check with the government to make sure that, nobody's doing anything sketchy that's going to go against the safety of the citizens of the United States.
Or so we think.
Or so we think. Okay. Yes. And it's very, very secret. Even the people inside of it, like Lexi, don't know much about it. They don't know who's in charge. They don't know who else is in it. They only know what information is given to them to do their own jobs. So in the first book, Lexi met Sofia Flores, who becomes her love interest. They go on this wild adventure to Florida because Lexi ends up on the run. When she ends up with a piece of intel that she is able to kind of unwind and figure out that the Vice President of the United States is guilty of both being in cahoots with Russia and also testing a chemical weapon against innocent civilians in a foreign nation. So, and using his
part. So that first part, being in cahoots with Russia, life mirroring fiction with this inauguration.
I know, right?
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And it's funny because E.J. Noyes is an Australian writer.
Oh, hilarious! I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, the commentary is spot on.
I know, yeah.
The rest of the world knows what's happening.
I know. So the vice president was using his name is Berenson. He was using his illegitimate son to carry out this weapons attack.
Okay? Otherwise known as a bastard.
Yes. So So we kind of end with Lexi is taken into it's sort of prison, it's sort of not prison.
In Guantanamo Bay-esque type of a capture, but is broken out before anything bad happens. I mean, she was like beat up and whatnot, but that comes with the territory.
Right. She ends up beat up with broken bones in her escape
Right.
where they car crash her. But before that, she's questioned. They threaten to harm Sophia and her family, and her father is a legitimate US citizen, but he was born in Mexico. And so they threaten to take away his citizenship, and they actually do separate him from his family and scare the Flores family and Lexi. And that's why Lexi actually ends up ultimately turning herself in, and that's why she's in captivity. So we end with her breaking out. And now we start this second book, and her and Sophia are back in their daily lives. Everything seems to be well. She's going to be kind of worked back into her regular daily life at work. And that doesn't last long.
No, it does not. Before we hop in though, like what did you think of the book? Was because sometimes a second book in a series can kind of be a bit of a letdown. This book, I loved it. I was like on the edge of my seat. I love Sophia and Lexi's like chemistry. I loved like so many parts of it. And Jeff, we'll get into Jeff, which is the guy she has to work with. Loved him as well. What did you think of the second book of the series?
Yeah, I honestly thought Jeff was the best part of this book. I loved the end. I think that the second half of the book was the really strong point.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, the first half definitely was like a ease you in, remind you what happened,
Which
get
I
you.
appreciate. I appreciated
I
that.
mean, yes, I did need a reminder. It was like an acclamation.
Mhm.
And then the second half is where a lot of the action started. Um, and I loved the second half of the book. I think that the story was really good.
I'm also really interested to see how you're going. You read it, right? Like physical copy, like
Yes.
Kindle. Okay. I'm really interested to see how you pronounce um Lexi's like ex-girlfriend's name.
Ella.
Oh, okay, very good. Very good. That's how Abby Craden said it as well. But
Oh, good.
like I don't even know how it's spelled, if it was like phonetically spelled in a way that you could like say it.
It was pretty phonetically spelled. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Elaheh.
Okay, yeah. But I was like, every time I heard it, I was like, I wonder how Haley's reading this in her head. But yeah, I agree. The second part of the book was really like a thriller. Like I could see it as like a movie,
Mm.
which I feel like is like my standard bearer of like if a book is good.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and I was like, this would cost so much money to make.
Oh my God. Okay, did she ever tell us what country they're in?
No.
Okay, because I have like three different guesses. And
Mhm.
maybe when we get EJ Noyes on here, she'll like give us what she was kind of thinking. I'm thinking Syria, Lebanon, or Morocco.
My guess, and I want to hear why you think that, but my guess is based off of something that Jeff Jeff. I forgot Jeff's name. My guess is based off of something that Jeff said actually.
Ooh, okay.
And it was, he said he'd been in the country multiple times before, and he had been on tours in Iraq and Afghanistan.
So you think it's there?
Yeah, I think it's either Iraq or Afghanistan.
See, the reason I didn't think that is one, it would be too easy. Two, it would be like, I guess I'm going with it'd be too easy. And when I think of like terrorist cells operating around, like obviously it is the Middle East, but like terrorist cells operating around there, I think that they like to operate kind of like adjacent to like the main war zones. So for me, that's like Syria and Lebanon, obviously, are like adjacent to Iraq and Afghanistan. And the only reason I was also thinking Morocco was because of the way she described like the markets and like the weather and like all of the, I don't know, for some reason, also I just love Morocco. So I was like, maybe they're there in my head. But yeah, I just think Iraq and Afghanistan, it would be almost too dangerous for this plot. Like, I don't even think there would be an option to have kind of like a secret lesbian affair for the women there, right? Versus if you're like adjacent to there, maybe there's like a little bit more of an option. I don't know. We'll have to ask EJ when she hops on the pod.
Yeah, I don't know, but he made that comment and I was like, hmm.
Yeah, but see, he was also like special forces. And yeah, like obviously we have special forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they also like go around to like other terrorist cells and like, try and I don't know. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of like military cop movies lately, and I'm getting a better understanding of like how this is operating, if the movies are actually accurate. But let me tell you,
Oh boy.
let me tell you, the amount of friggin' these type of movies I have watched lately, I'm just like, can we watch a movie that doesn't have shooting? Can we watch Little Women, please?
I'm going to break your heart wide open and tell you that the people writing these movies are little middle-aged men in quarter zips who live in their mother's basements
Okay,
and
but
have not been to military, so
okay, but these little men, as prideful as they are, also don't they have people like experts that they talk to?
sometimes.
Okay, well, we'll go with sometimes. I'm not saying these movies are real. They look real fake to me, but they are scary. I mean, I like them. They're like very entertaining. They're just not my pick. But this
Right.
book, I was very enthralled in. Maybe because there wasn't as much like shoot 'em up type stuff.
Right.
But there are explosions and there is like very high pressure, high intense meetings that like I'm excited to talk to you about, like when Lexi and Ella Haig like meet up again. And I love that since Sophia and Lexi were separated, we had the character introduction of Ella Haig because we had heard about her in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
But for her to like come back.
Dude, I knew. I'm like, there's no way. The second that they brought her up, I was like, there's no way they bring her up for no reason. She's gonna meet her somehow. Like they're gonna use her to, get into LA
Yeah.
in some way.
So I think we're both wrong on the location because I just did a quick little Google and Elahe is an Iranian name. So I bet you they're in Iran.
Mm.
So
I
we
guess
are
that
all
would be a
close.
good clue.
We are all close. We were right around there. And Iran does make sense because it's right there in the Middle East. It's a little bit outside, but also like outside of the war zone-ish area of Iraq and Afghanistan, but like obviously like very involved in the conflict. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, should we hop into it?
Let's get in.
Okay, I'm excited to talk about Jeff. This guy is quite a character, and I loved his character development because we're introduced to Jeff actually in the first book, but we didn't know that's who it was. It was Mr. Smith, and he is the one that was doing the debriefing on Lexi when she turned herself in. So we're like, is he an agent? Is he like, we don't exactly know who he is, but the book starts off with basically the resignation of the vice president. And the president is very pissed off about this because obviously he's losing like his number one guy. And it also seems like the president is like probably in on this as well. Did you kind of get that feeling or?
Yeah. I mean, they say that he's not, but just, I mean, maybe he isn't, but either way, he doesn't want to look bad. So he
Right.
doesn't want like his guy to go down.
Right. And yeah, it's like all over the news. And it's really, I thought it was really cute, the scene with Sophia and Lexi, when like Lexi and they're in the apartment and Sophia's watching the news and being like, oh my God, like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening. This is treason. And I can just picture Lexi sitting there like, baby, please connect the dots here. Remember how I told you? Like in her head, being like, okay, there's a big thing happening on the news. And I previously told you if you see in the next couple of weeks something big going down, like it
Hmm.
would connect the dots. And I can just see her like sitting there, like sitting back in her chair, leg crossed, being like watching Lexi watch the TV, being like, I know you're so smart. Like,
Yeah.
I know you
Yep.
like puzzles. I know you like to connect the dots. Like, come on now. And eventually, like with a little bit of Lexi's prompting, Sophia like gets it and is like, oh my, like it's just what a mind trip for like what I have now learned is called a civilian. What a mind trip for a civilian to like go through, to be like, wait a second, you were involved in this. How does this work? You know what I mean?
Well, to her, that seems like something that's so separated from herself.
Yeah.
And there's no way, I mean, that's so far away from her. There's no way that that would have anything to do with her at all. So,
You know what? I think, hold on, because you're absolutely right. But do you remember? I think I said this in the last episode. Like, what if Sophia is like a double agent?
yes, you did say that.
I'm still, after this book, holding on to that
You
conspiracy
still
theory.
think so?
No, I don't. But in the back of my mind, with some of the things that have happened, I'm holding on to like a 2% chance.
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
feel like we're close. Like it was like a 1% chance in the first book. Now I have like a 2% chance. I'll elaborate later. But
Okay.
and again, this is just my conspiracy theory. I feel like I need like EJ to write like a conspiracy theorist book from like other like perspective, like Sophia, and being like this whole time being like I was a secret agent. I don't know. I think that'd be
EJ, you have turned Lauren into one of those people whose eyes constantly dart from side to side of the room. She's like,
absolutely.
have you seen on TikTok? Rest in peace, TikTok.
Oh my
Have
god.
you seen
Oh, I have a
on
theory. I have a theory on that as well.
have you seen on TikTok the woman who's secretly a rat?
No, of course you're on rat TikTok.
Obviously. Um, it's so funny. It's stupid, but for me, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it gets my goat. It's so funny. But anyway, that's how I'm picturing you. She just sits there and she'll be like having a normal day, and then she'll be like in the middle of her sentence. And that's how I'm imagining you, but like at conspiracies.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say that EJ Noyce turned me into a conspiracy theorist, and I was like, babe, I have been a conspiracy theorist for a long time. Um,
No, I'm
also,
saying,
also my conspiracy theory about TikTok is that, are you
oh
ready for
boy,
this?
here we go.
I didn't make this up. I give this to some random person on Twitter that I read. But I think that so it was a 9-0 decision, right, by the Supreme Court. I think, and like 5 of those Supreme Court picks are like in Trump's pocket. Okay. I think the Supreme Court was told to uphold the ban, basically. And then Trump is going to come in and save it so that he's like the hero. Because literally, the TikTok CEO is going to his inauguration. If we were banning it, why would he be there? So keep an eye out. I think TikTok's going to be fucking fine.
Okay. We'll see if you're right.
Okay, so sorry. I should work for Halcyon. Just saying.
Also, okay, speaking of the president, um, in this book,
You do not call him that.
not him, in the
Oh,
book,
okay,
in the
okay.
book, in the book, we are shooketh because they, okay, I'm confused about this whole thing. They had this whole plan about how they were going to let him just resign and say that he's sick or whatever. And then all of a sudden, they're announcing that he's been arrested. And I'm like, what happened that changed this?
Didn't it leak? The intel leaked.
But Halcyon did it. Halcyon leaked it.
Right. And remember, later in the book, we're trying to figure out if Halcyon is actually a government agency.
Yes.
So
But
if
like,
they're not,
why?
for him to go down. Maybe they wanted him to be taken down publicly. Maybe they want the corruption. Maybe they're like actually like good guys and like they want the corruption to be exposed to the people. Now, I mean, that is like an ideal world here, but I don't know. Why? What's your thoughts?
I mean, that would make sense to me, except for that the end of this book gave me some real shady vibes.
Oh, I know it did. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really excited to read the third book.
Yeah, we had a real cliffhanger here.
We have a lot of cliffhangers at the end of this book. Like,
Uh-huh.
we'll get to it.
Yeah.
And the end of the book is why I'm like, ooh, could Sophia be like a little bit of an agent? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think okay. Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Okay. We just keep saying that.
Okay, so the president's arrest. Then Sophia figures it out. Then Lexi is told that she is very, very importante and she must be protected. She must be ready for whatever her new assignment at Halcyon is. And she's like, okay, whatever that means. And nobody knows what that means, not even Derek. And then she finds out, oh no, they're going to send me away back overseas. And I was just about to have Thanksgiving with Sophia and her family and meet them for the first time after I got them into this whole mess of maybe her father being deported, even though he's a US citizen. That's crazy. Are they going to hate me forever? Okay, think about this. Like, as a girlfriend, what a crazy, like, meeting the parents is so nerve-wracking anyway. Can you imagine after you almost get your, like, father-in-law of a boyfriend, girlfriend situation deported? And then now you're gonna go have Thanksgiving for the first time meeting them? What a crazy
I don't know how Lexi deals with it. I mean, you would just have to like put that out of your mind and be like, well, they don't know. They don't know that that was me. So we're just going to go with that understanding. Because what else are you going to do? I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Well, they did know it was her. Like,
Oh,
the sister. Yeah, they knew it was about her. And the sister, when she first met her, like, she had major vibes she was throwing at her. She literally said to Lexi, she gets attached very easily. She's also got the heart size of Europe and has a habit of adopting strays.
But that doesn't mean
like,
she was an agent and that was all her fault. I'm pretty sure they kept that a secret.
Did they?
Yeah. I feel like that mom and that sister would not condone this relationship if they knew.
I mean, I don't know.
But yeah, what a mind trip. You would have to just go in and be like, either if they did know, go in and be like, hey, have you seen? You know exactly. Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
Or if you didn't know, then just go in and pretend everything's normal and you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
so nerve-wracking for her.
yes, but this actually doesn't even end up happening because Lexi is reassigned out of the blue and she has a week to prepare and she's going overseas. She's going back to the place, the same location where she was like captured and stabbed from the last book. And we learn actually from her new partner that she goes with that she's not actually even supposed to be in the field anymore because of the trauma of that capture. Like she's got PTSD, she's got all these different things that would negate her from being in the field. And yet they're sending her back anyway, which we later come to find out is because it's like basically on the president's orders because he's mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
which is like
It's just a
so,
petty thing. Yeah.
so petty. And it's like on this assignment that they of a like um new program, like a pilot program that they all know is not going to work.
Yeah, it's like very clearly a bullshit thing. And also, he comes in person before she leaves to threaten her and Sophia, and he makes a personal phone call to her once she's overseas to do the same thing. And both of them are like a stay in line, do what I tell you to do, otherwise, oops, you might have an accident, or ooh, Sophia's family might disappear, like just horrible. And
Yeah.
all that she ever did was do her job. Like, she actually never did anything she wasn't supposed to do.
Right.
Although the line is blurry because nobody knows about Halcyon. So to people outside of Halcyon, it looks like she went fucking rogue.
Right.
Yeah.
Oof. So now she meets the new partner. Derek is like, you have a partner for this mission. And who walks in but Mr. Smith, who is the guy that debriefed her. And we learn his name is Jeff. And this is a 6-month assignment. So not only is she leaving Sophia to go back across country, they're gonna have to do long distance from 6 months, and she has to be with this guy that she absolutely hates.
Mm-hmm. Who he was he was interrogating her. He was also threatening Sophia while she was in interrogation. And so that's why she hates him, for like super good reason. Um and he is like kind of being an asshole, but also kind of being nice to her. She's like having a really hard time reading him. She doesn't know anything about him. He knows everything about her. The tables are just very uneven here, the scales. So it's unsettling to say the least. Okay, so and then they get there and she realizes that he had first class the entire way overseas and she was in the middle seat in the back of the plane for 35 hours.
Literally the worst.
Yeah, and the government is the one, like the agency is the one that got their flights. All this stuff.
That's like just another petty thing that I'm sure the president was like, no extras for her, like no leg room, no snacks. Yeah, but he's so petty. And what's funny is like he is Southern. And so it's crazy because he just like sometimes when he was talking, I thought that it was Senator's wife, asshole guy talking. What's his name?
Carlton Cleveland.
Carlton Cleveland. Thank you. Because Abby Creighton did Senator's Wife and she does the Halcyon series. And so when the senator or when the president's talking, I was like, this sounds exactly like Carlton Cleveland.
Oh
But it's
my
like
God.
same vibes for sure. So yeah,
Crazy.
I know. You really gotta maybe like the third book you should listen to the Audible because it's so good.
Okay, wait, let me ask you a question about the audiobook.
Yeah.
Did you notice, and okay, I'm sorry, EJ Noise. I love you. I
Oh,
this is my one criticism. Just close your ears, okay? I feel so mean.
fast forward a couple of minutes.
Okay, did you notice while listening, because I definitely noticed while reading, the amount of times the phrase mental gymnastics was used?
No, I did not. I can't even think of one time I heard it.
Really?
Oh, maybe one. No, but I didn't notice it. Like I didn't pinpoint it.
He
Interesting.
likes that phrase.
You know what? Every author has a phrase or two that you're like, oh, they like this word. I don't think she's going to be offended.
I feel mean.
Oh, it's okay. We're a book club podcast. We can have our critic. Oh my God. Maybe we should learn how to talk. We can have our criticisms and our critiques. That's okay. And that's barely one. Just like I just noticed this word was used a lot. If you had to guess how many times.
Like 6 or 7.
Okay, that is quite a lot.
Mhm.
I think listening to it, I think if I had read it, I would have noticed. I would have picked up. But
Yeah.
since I listened to it, yeah, I didn't pick it up.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those phrases that's like it stands out enough that when it's used multiple times, you notice it.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's like a specific phrase. Like whenever there's like a bigger word that I'm like, oh, I haven't heard it or like I don't know, I kind of just like certain words. If it's used in a book, I'm always like,
Acquiesce.
yes, yes, that's absolutely one of them. I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Yes, I blame Keira Knightley for my love of that word. But yeah, I'm always like, oh, there's that word, and then I'll notice it. So yeah, I get what you're saying for sure. Okay,
Yep.
EJ, come back on. It's fine. It wasn't
Moving
that
on.
bad.
I'm sorry.
You're too nice, Haley. It's fine. There were a lot of mental gymnastics in this book that a lot of characters had to go through.
True.
So they get to their location, and some of the little parts of the book that I really liked was like, they're gonna be away for Christmas. I'm gonna ignore Haley's face. Something's happening outside her window.
There's a helicopter
I can hear
hovering
it.
above my apartment. One moment.
There it is. Again, we're coming live from fire territory.
Yes.
But one of the little things like that she put in, so they're gonna be missing Christmas, and what's really cute is Sophia's like, you should get him a gift. You're both gonna be away from home, and she helps her Lexi pick out a gift. And then later on in the book, when Christmas does come, we find out that Jeff's wife did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought like little pieces like that is like why I love reading and like why I love literature because you could have all like in movies and things like that. Like I just don't feel like there's enough time to take that amount of care in developing characters, right?
Right.
And I just thought that was really sweet. But they get to Iran, Morocco, Afghanistan. They get to their location and they have this like 2-bedroom soundproofed apartment set up for them. And I was like, damn, soundproofed. But we come to find out later that Lexi's very happy about that.
Yep.
And their mission starts. And again, it's like a terrorist cell that there's like an intel team and like we don't really know why Lexi and Jeff are there because they're working adjacent to the intel team, but like they have to get approval for like everything. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, Jeff's purpose is to protect Lexi
Well, but we don't find that out until the end of the
until
book.
later. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the whole time, like that never even crossed my mind. I thought they were just like both there doing this job.
Yeah.
But later, like we find out that his sole job was basically bodyguard. Which
Yeah.
which that's why I'm confused of like who deployed him. He's a general contractor. So now I'm thinking, see, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. But
Well, we find that out at the end of the book.
I know, but I think that Lennon hired him.
He did, yeah.
Oh, that was confirmed?
Yes.
Oh.
At the airport when they get back.
Are you sure? Like he said Lennon did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, god damn. Ever since I had COVID, my reading comprehension skills apparently are not great. But okay, well, guess what? My theory was proved correct. Thank you, Haley. Thank you,
Yep.
So anyway.
Yeah, he's there. She's there. They're doing their little thing. And they go to the market. And they run into Elahay.
Yes, which was you know what? Actually, time out. Now I'm confused and wondering if there's a plot hole. Uh-oh, EJ. Skip ahead again. Because they said so this is the same place that she was injured last time, right? But then she made a big point to say that Elahay had moved.
Same country, different place.
Ah, okay. because Lexi was very taken aback that she ran into Ella just randomly in the market. And they're both like stunned because also she finds out that Ella is married to one of the men that is a part of this terrorist cell that they're trying to collect intel on. And Lexi wants to make contact with Ella because she has a prior relationship with her and is like, oh, maybe I can help and get intel. I've done this before. And the intel team is like, no, absolutely not. Like they put the kibosh on it. They say, don't you dare. And what happens though is they ran into each other organically. And now there is this connection. And Ella is like, please come to and this is on Christmas Eve. And she's like, please come to my apartment for tea and tomorrow. And, it would be out of character for Lexi's cover story to say no to that because they are old friends and it would just look weird. So she has to, but then they have to inform the intel team and blah, blah, blah. And this is kind of where we see Jeff come into play here because he kind of goes to bat to defend Lexi and is like, no, this happened organically. Like this isn't her fault. And if she doesn't go now, it could really fuck things up. But what's also weird is their cover, Lexi and Jeff are married, right? And that was actually something I really liked about the book was, the onus, that's not the right word, but Lexi's character being like, oh man, I got to go back kind of undercover and play a straight person. She's so far away from my identity. And she's like, but I'm also going to a country that being a lesbian, I would be murdered. I would be killed, And I liked that she brought that out because I do think that is a real concern. And I think it's a fair one to bring to light in a book, because there's, you could say okay, I have to go play a straight person and when that's so far outside of who you are, it's another added layer to an undercover situation.
Yeah. I think that the way that the two of them developed, Jeff and Lexi, the way that their relationship developed ended up being really, really sweet. And when they were going out in public and taking on the cover story of marriage, it felt natural because what marriage is, when you boil it down, is your best friend and a partnership. And
clear and communication.
And that's kind of what they became. Minus the romance and any sexual interest between them, obviously. But it just ended up being very natural. They had a wish to protect each other. They had each other's best interests at heart. They cared for one another. They knew each other very well. They made each other laugh. It was a true relationship by the end of the book. And it was very endearing. And I think that a lot of Lexi and Sophia their arcs are a little bit static. Their characters, not their story, but their characters themselves, they don't change that much.
Right.
A lot of things happen to them, but who they are as people aren't really very malleable. And Jeff, though we don't know that much about him at the beginning, so maybe he hasn't changed. Our perception of him changed a lot. And that I really appreciated because he had a really big character arc throughout this book. Even if it was just our perceived arc of him,
Yeah, and I think that was actually kind of addressed in the book where he was talking about, I come to the job and this is the job. This isn't who I am. And I think you're right. I think it's just our perception of him was so strong based on the last book. And we find out that he is a psychologist basically. And we only had him at work, right? And now we have this whole other huge part of him where he's actually opening up to Lexi eventually a little bit. And yeah, we get to see different parts of his personality while we got to see Lexi inside of work and outside of work, in the last book. But I think the best part that we get to see about Jeff is when one of our major plot points comes up, which is when Sophia, out of the blue, just breaks up with Lexi. And there's like a couple parts that I wanted to talk about it, or talk about, I guess. And so Sophia calls her up and is like, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I think we need to break up. I can't deal with your secrecy around your job, even though I said I could. It's become too much. And Lexi is like blindsided. She's like, there has never been any inkling that anything is wrong. I'm so confused. I wish you would have talked to me about it. Maybe we could have worked through it. And Sophia's just like, no, I know we can't because it's the secrecy and you can't change that because of your job. Now, one of the things that I was like, I kind of understood okay, we have a couple different points here.
Mm-hmm.
Lexi is very confused and is like, is someone putting you up to this? Because previously, Sophia let Lexi know that she was pretty sure someone was following her.
Yeah.
And Lexi tells Jeff, and Jeff's like, let me make some calls. I'll make that stop. Apparently, it had stopped. But the way Sophia, when Lexi asked her about it, was like very quick to be like, yeah, it's done. Like, and so I don't know if it actually did. And
I don't think it did at all.
Yeah, because even Jeff said I would absolutely be tailing Sophia. Like if I was the president, I would absolutely be tailing her no matter what. Like if I had a petty vendetta against you. So we're kind of leaning towards like Sophia's being pushed to break up with Lexi because she also like sends an email too to make sure that it's like very clear. Like there's like a paper trail of the breakup. But I did think it was a very good cover story because, like, yeah, the secrecy thing could be a major issue in a relationship, but also even just the minor detail of, like, I know you might see this as coming out of the blue, but I've been thinking about it for a long time. And I think that that kind of happens sometimes in relationships. And I do think, I don't know if that's like the best way to go about it because maybe you should talk to your partner, but if it's something that's like, isn't going to change and you're just like holding out hope for it, then it's like, I've already come to terms with it. So we might as well just be done, you know?
Yeah. It does happen, and I think being blindsided is like the single most heartbreaking way to be broken up with. Like, I think that is absolutely just wrecking of like everything. Um,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it destabilizes your reality of like what you thought, and it makes you doubt and not trust your judgment of like what you think is going on. And if you're Lexi
Yeah.
in a foreign, hostile environment, and you have 1.5 people that you trust, and now one of them has like done that, has completely blindsided you and made you think that you actually don't have any idea what's going on and how to read people, and maybe you can't trust the people you thought you could trust after all. Like that is just I mean, we saw the results of that. Lexi is destroyed and she's heartbroken, but that's when Jeff steps up, which is what you were starting with, is that yeah, she's wrecked. She can't even get dressed for work. She's moping around all the time. And Jeff is like making her sandwiches and cans of soup because he can't cook. And he's, just being like there for her and being a good human. I mean, these two are very domestic together in the way that like they take care of each other. They have this fine-tuned system of one of them does one thing, then the other does the other. And like everything is perfect. And when Lexi can't do her part, things break down, Jeff steps in, he does it. Like,
Right. Which you can tell he is like a good partner to his wife back home. You're
mhm.
like, oh, like,
Yes.
and that's how like relationships should be. If somebody like you can have all the perfect expectations and everything can be running like a well-oiled machine, right? Like Lexi cooks, he cleans up. Lexi needs to not be disturbed during her mental health stuff, and Jeff obliges, right? Like you have all these things where they're working really well together, but when one person in the partnership, and they're not obviously romantic partners, but they're work partners, but they're also like living together because of the state of their job. When one person is going through something, the other person has to step up and take on more responsibilities and more roles and trust that if the situation was reversed, the other one's going to do it too. And that's why
Right.
I say it's like obviously like Jeff we find out has been married for like 26 years and he's like so in love with his wife. He's like, no, she is my lover. Like, and I love that point. I was like, oh, like he's so sweet. And he really just, tries to do his best to support Lexi. And like obviously he has really good tools. He's like a psychologist. He knows a lot of her background. He knows a lot about Sophia. And what I found interesting too during this part was Lexi lets him in on her suspicion that Sophia broke up. The breakup wasn't like necessarily of her own doing. And I thought Jeff's response was interesting because he is like part of an agency, or he was, and now he's like a general contractor, an independent contractor. You would think his like feelers, his little like spidey senses would have been intrigued as well, but you kind of see him, I think his like psychology part took over where he's very doubtful that that's the issue. And
Mhm.
I found that really interesting because I was like, to me, it did seem weird that Sophia was breaking up with Lexi like this out of the blue, right? And Jeff was like, I think that's what you want to believe.
I was kind of wondering if, I mean, I think Jeff very possibly secretly had his suspicions too, but I
Okay.
don't think that he could show Lexi that because that would have been like fuel to her fire, and he knew that.
Yeah, you're right.
And if he had his suspicions, like he could go and privately dig at them. But he, out of all people, would know that if there is somebody in like a fragile mental state who is grasping at any straw to try and like hang on for dear life to something that is so important to them, and they like what they really need to be able to function is to try and find some sort of acceptance because like that thing may not be resolved. Him saying like, well, maybe is not going to help her in what the reality is at this moment. So I think he knew that, and like maybe he did think that she was right, but I don't think he would have shown her that.
You're right. You're right. You're definitely right. Very true. I should have thought better of Jeff. You're correct. Um, but yeah, and this whole time they're still trying to do their work. Another cute thing that I want to say is like Jeff got her like a treadmill, like a walking treadmill, and I thought that was so cute. Did he get her that for Christmas or just like randomly?
Her birthday, I
A
think.
birthday. Which sorry, this is a little off topic, but I'm remembering like why Jeff's such a good guy. Um, because it's like unsafe for her to go walking or running, and she like needs to do that for her mental health along with her meditation and her yoga. Um, but yeah, so it takes her months to get to like a solid place because what I thought was kind of cool was the way we skipped time in this book, which I was very confused listening to it at first because it was like chapter 23, April, blah, blah, and then it was like lines from the email. It
Mhm.
kind of showed Lexi's processing of the breakup.
Yeah, like what she was probably just turning over and over and over in her head that whole month.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I mean, real girl.
Oh my God, seriously. Especially being the one who was broken up with and having no closure, no explanation, being in a super high stress job out of the country. Like I I don't even know how to she would begin to process this.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, just brutal. Absolutely brutal. Um, what broke my heart is when she starts to get rid of Sophia's things. Um, like the Super Lexi drawing and the picture of them together and the self-portrait that Sophia did and the mug and tea strainer that she got her. Like that broke my heart because I'm just sitting here thinking, like, obviously, all of us that are reading this are also pretty sure that she was coerced into breaking up with Lexi.
Right.
And we know there's a third book.
Yeah.
So obviously, probably something, there's more to their story, right? And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, no, there's gonna be more. Don't burn it. Don't burn it. Don't burn it.
I know. I think that's one of the heartbreaking things about going through a breakup or a loss of any sort is getting rid of the keepsakes and like the mementos and the pictures and things like that. But I also think that that helps with like the acceptance of it. And yeah, we're sitting here going, don't do it, don't do it. Like the, you might like get back together and you'll want those things, but Lexi's sitting there going like, I have to move on and I have to heal, right? And then the part that kind of got me was this whole time she's been having these like meetings with Ella, and I'm going, you know, is something going to happen here? Like that would be
Mhm.
devastating for Sophia if she ever found out, which Sophia has no idea about Ella. Like because of the job, Lexi has to keep that a secret. Now, Lexi is very strong in her point in this book of being like, I wasn't in love with her. I didn't even necessarily have romantic feelings. We just kind of fulfilled a physical need for each other at the time. And like, yes, I cared about her, but Sophia is like my life. Sophia is who I love. And I never felt that way about Ella. But then I was like, okay, but when you're going through a breakup, and you want comfort and you want um something familiar, right? The whole time I was like, oh man, like, is she gonna do something with Ella Hay? And but also I was like, there's no way she can because I think it would go against her character. I think it would because Ella Hay has been kind of implicated in some terrorist activity.
Mhm.
And Lexi
Not
the
just implicated. There was video of her leaving a bomb on the steps of a
Right, but
building.
Lexi's like trying to rationalize like she was probably forced, like this was not her mentality. There's no way she could have like changed so much in a couple years to now be fully part of this terrorist organization. She was always just adjacent. Like her family was involved in it, her brother, her dad, but she wasn't. But her family found the husband for her to marry, right? And she also has a kid. But that was my concern when Sophia and Lexi broke up. I was like, oh shoot, like, is something gonna happen with Ella Hay?
And here's the thing. Lexi is very adamant in stating that she never loved Ella Hay and blah blah blah. But like the way that she actually feels doesn't really seem to line up with the things that she says.
How
Like
so? Like, what?
she,
Give me an example.
she all whenever she's with Ella Hay, like her breath catches. She has like waves of nostalgia. She smells her and is like overwhelmed. She um has these overwhelming senses of care. She as soon as she hears anything about Ella Hay, like she rushes to want to know about her, and I just like That seems a little bit more than a hookup.
I don't know. So I can see that, but I also think like I think that Lexi is very physically attracted to Ella Hay. And I also think she probably feels really bad for Ella Hay for her life circumstances, right? So I think the way I interpreted it was the care that she had for her wasn't necessarily romantic. It was just like a, I don't know what else to call it other than like a womanly care for someone that obviously like you've been intimate with, yes, but like she is living in a country where she can't be herself. She's married to a man that obviously she doesn't have interest in and has to have sex with him because obviously they have a kid, right? I think it's more not pity, like a pity care, but like a care of like, I wish you could have lived a different life.
I do think she wishes that for Ella Hay, but I think there's feelings there.
Really?
Yeah, and also Ella Hay, when she is saying her goodbye to Lexi, she says that like she thought that Lexi was going to ask her to come back to the United States with her and that she would have in a moment, and that like she broke her heart when she left her there without saying anything. And
Well, I
like
think Ella Hay was very much in love with Lexi.
yeah, and I just don't know like if Lexi is saying
Hmm.
that for both of us it was just physical, but Ella Hay is saying, and Ella Hay has no moral reason to be like lying to herself about what this
Right,
was,
right.
but Lexi does. Like Lexi has to, for her own mental wellness, to be like, oh, it was nothing because now she's a terrorist, and oh, it was nothing because Sophia. But like I just don't think that that's actually the truth. And the whole time too, I was worried of like she is going to do something that she regrets because of this feeling that she has for Elhe, that in the moment she's gonna be like she's just gonna forget everything else, you know?
Yeah. Which I wouldn't even blame her for doing, but I would feel really bad for Sophia.
I know. And okay, let's talk about Sophia for
Okay.
actually okay, we can't skip to the end. I want to talk about it so bad. We can't skip to the end. We have to finish talking about LA.
Okay. We'll finish LA and then we're gonna be almost at the end of the book. So yeah, because I want to talk about Sophia too at the end because
Yeah.
she's a smart girl.
I know. Okay, so Elahe gives the first warning she gives to Lexi is that, oh, there's this restaurant my husband and his friends always go to. It's called Aber, and I think there's cockroaches there.
I love how you said
So
that restaurant name.
how how did Abby say
Amy
it?
Craden says a beer.
Oh, well, on my college campus we had a dorm hall called Aber, and it was spelled like that.
Name in Montana?
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, I knew there was going to be a pronunciation in here. I found one. Yay. But who knows?
um
This restaurant has cockroaches in it because Lexi said she was like, "Oh, maybe I'll go there." And Ella Hay was like, "I think there's cockroaches."
yes.
So Lexi goes, "Okay, maybe I will not go there."
Yeah. So, very shortly after, this restaurant explodes.
Yep.
And Lexi is like, "Oh my God, she was warning me." She knew that that was going to explode.
Right.
And then they, I mean, that's really the only warning. But then Lexi tells Elahe that her and Jeff frequent this restaurant, and that on her birthday he was going to take her there, blah blah blah. And so her and Jeff are in this restaurant when she goes to the bathroom. She comes back, and Jeff is like, really, really, we've got to get out of here right now. And
Yeah.
is hurrying Lexi along. Lexi's like, what the heck is going on? And is kind of like dragging her feet a little bit.
Like, I wanted dessert.
Yeah.
It's like so me. I was like, I would absolutely do that. I'd be like, you said we could have dessert. Um, Why are we leaving? But if I saw the agitation, I would be like, okay, you need to explain this to me outside of the car, and we need to go get a baklava. So
Yeah, well, she thought he was gonna shit himself.
she's like, is your stomach okay?
Yeah. But no, he knew that something was wrong. And as they're walking out the restaurant, this woman pushes in. Lexi locks eyes with her, sees it's Elahe. She actually looks at her because of the rose perfume, and she recognizes it as Elahe's. And the woman brushes against her, and she feels underneath her clothes that there is a bomb strapped to her.
Well,
And it's, too quick, too late to do anything. Elahe goes in and blows up the restaurant, suicide bombs it. And that just like heart-wrenching. Not only can Lexi do nothing about it, she can't save any of the people that just got blown up in there that were just innocent bystanders, but also like her former lover and now friend that she has this very complicated relationship with because of who she is and what she stands for. She just watched her like go in there and blow up. And this was right after telling her that she hangs out in this place. So she's also wondering, did she intend to blow me up?
mhm.
And she saw me, she recognized me, she knew I was there. So like she didn't care if I blew up. And also, last time we met, she said goodbye. And like, oh shit, that was a goodbye, as in she's about to go do a suicide bombing. Like, how did I not know? I could have stopped this somehow, even though like probably not.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where Lexi's at. They're both injured. Lexi has a broken nose and like a gash in her head, and Jeff has a ton of glass and building shards lodged all up and down the back of his body because he uses himself as a shield for Lexi.
Yeah. And I think Lexi's mind turning about all of those things that you just mentioned is completely normal. Because, and one of the things that she was mulling over was, do you think Ella Hay would have gone through with it if she saw me in the restaurant? Right. And I don't know if she would have. I think what gave Ella Hay kind of the last remaining ounce of courage to go through with the suicide bombing was seeing Lexi leaving the restaurant. Right? She's like, okay, she's not in there. I can do it. Because Lexi said, like, I wonder if she would have done it if she saw me in there. And I want to believe that like love is strong and like feelings matter. And I want to believe that Ella Hay wouldn't have detonated that bomb. But I also want to know more about Ella Hay. I want to know if she was forced to do this, right? Like if her son was being threatened by her husband, if she didn't do it, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know because it doesn't seem right. Ella Hay seems like such a gentle, caring person, but also maybe she was just fed up with her life of not living like true to herself. I don't know. But yeah, I felt really bad for Lexi. Like, could you imagine walking past like your ex-lover and like you said now friend, knowing in about 20, not even 20 seconds, 10 seconds, putting together all the pieces and not being able to do anything about it?
Oh, horrific.
Yeah.
Horrible. I think LA did this of her own accord.
Really?
Yes, because she was the only one left in her cell that hadn't been captured. Like her husband imprisoned, everyone else in her cell imprisoned. She was the last of the 5 members of the cell not imprisoned. And so her husband couldn't have been threatening her son. No one could have been threatening her son. And whenever Lexi was talking to her about like, her life, she had this belief that she was necessary and needed, and she felt very strongly about the new government and that they were bad for the people, and I mean, having a strong belief like that and that you're doing something about it, and also like just she had grown up in this environment and now was like married into this really strong not only belief system but that's being acted upon,
Yeah.
and that was clearly enough to spur her into action on her own. And also, I think that she probably knew that, like, okay, her husband has been captured.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time until they figure out, okay, she's the last member of the cell. If
Yeah.
they don't already know that and they're looking for her because she was, like they said, gone with the wind. Um, and so, I mean, I'm gonna bet that this was her last big statement and a way to escape, like a life in incarceration for what she had done.
Yeah, I can't imagine an Iranian prison would be a good place for a woman.
Yeah.
So after this, at least Lexi gets to go home. They basically extract them. Like they're both injured, they both need medical attention, and they get to come home early. Not that much early, but it's like a week early, but they're very excited to like go home. But Lexi's also like, what am I kind of going home to? You know? Ugh.
Yeah.
Now
And
here's your Sophia part. You're like beaming. I'm like, okay, you tell it.
so Lexi comes home to her place, and Sophia has left all of the stuff that she had left at Sophia's house in a box on her counter. She's taken all of her belongings that she had left at Lexi's place. Her key to the apartment is left on the counter, and it's clear that while Lexi was gone, Sophia has like completely separated their lives. But she is getting ready for work. She goes to put on a suit jacket, and there's something in the pocket. She pulls out a piece of paper. Well, she drops it off to the dry cleaning, and
Right.
they pull out this piece of paper and hand it to her, and it's a series of numbers, and it's not the right amount of numbers to be a phone number or anything that like she immediately recognizes, but what it is the number to identify a book, the EBNS or whatever.
ISB.
And oh, okay, that, yes. And so she looks it up, and it is this book that the description is saying that the story is about like this girl who she breaks up with the person that she's actually in love with to marry the king to save, the her lover, blah blah blah.
It's like a
And
sacrifice.
yes, and it's like very clearly the same exact situation.
Yeah.
And it's a code that Sophia has left to Lexi. And for Christmas, Lexi had gotten Sophia a book of codes because she likes to solve puzzles.
Right.
And so this was a big, big clue to Lexi that, ooh, I may be right. Things may not be as they seem. And Sophia felt like she had to break up with me for some reason.
Yeah.
We don't know yet what that reason is.
Yeah. And I loved the one part that I loved was like the Lexi was like, okay, I gotta get this book, right? And the book's out of print, which
Yeah.
told Lexi that the description of the book was enough for her to understand what Sophia was trying to say.
Yeah.
And I love that sneakiness. And like, it's not even sneakiness, but I love the trust in your partner to understand the message that you're trying to give without being explicit about it, just because you have that like understanding between the two of you.
Yeah. Also, Huge props to Sophia for holding out for months and waiting, and what would have been like the most painful waiting period ever, knowing that you just broke the person you love's heart and not knowing like what they would do in the aftermath of that, and not being able to get any information from her anymore about if she's safe, even though that's like the one big thing that you want to know every single day. Like that would drive you absolutely insane.
Oh yeah.
And holding out hope that when she got home, she would find a scrap of paper in her pocket, in a
Yeah.
random pocket. And how long is it going to take her to find it? And once she finds it, will she figure out what this random string of numbers is? And then once she finds the random string of numbers, will she put together what it means? And like, oh my God,
And
huge
especially,
props.
yeah, especially knowing what we know about Sophia with her being like a deep feeler and somebody who does worry. Like, I cannot imagine the day to day. And then being like, how is Lexi going to reach out to me? Is she even going to reach out to me? Can I trust her to reach out to me? Maybe she's so heartbroken. Maybe she's hooked up with someone else. Maybe she fucked Ella Hay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these different things would be going through my brain for sure. And I know both of us kind of identify more with Sophia. So it's like, oh my God, the just turmoil, the internal turmoil would make me sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like, also, okay, I found the perfect casting.
Oh, yes. Since we're at the end of, so that is the end of the book. We're left on a cliffhanger. Well, actually, it's not. Hold on.
Not the end of the book. But just while we're on Sophia, I think Natalie Morales would be the perfect Sophia.
Look, do I know
Age
her?
appropriate, looks like her, I think.
Okay, a journalist came up. Oh, cute. Wait, isn't she on Grey's Anatomy? No, she's on Dead to Me. That's what it is. Okay, I could see that. Okay, we're almost at the end of the book,
Yeah.
which such an interesting turn, and I'm really excited to see how this kind of works out. But basically, there's been like a restructuring at Halcyon, and the new director of Halcyon wants a meeting with Lexi. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. Rewind a little bit.
Mhm.
Because Jeff at the airport, when they get back, tells Lexi, like, basically tells her that he's been a bodyguard. He wasn't there for the mission or whatever. He was solely there to protect her.
Yeah.
And that she is so important. And she, like, normally, if like this had happened to any other agent, like the president would have just like killed her, put her in a body bag, and sent her to the ocean. But she obviously has something that certain people find really valuable, and that she has to figure out what that is. It's very Da Vinci Code-esque. And then there's this, now the director of Halcyon has been fired. I don't even know. And
It's not of Halcyon, it's of the agency, the government agency.
oh, the government agency. My bad. Okay, you tell the rest, because apparently my reading comprehension is
So you're right, there has been a restructuring, but of the government agency. And the director was forced to resign by the president. And in his place, a direct president's pick has been moved in, and he's requested a one-on-one meeting with Lexi. And Lexi comes in, and the man turns around, and she like walks in the office, and she's confused because her father is in a picture on the wall. And the man turns around, and she recognizes it as her uncle, and she's like, what the heck? And then he speaks. She recognizes the voice. It's Lennon. And so now, I mean, two bombs have dropped. Okay. Now
well, a lot of bombs have dropped.
Yeah. The director of Halcyon is now also the director of the agency.
Mhm.
And the president, the petty president who hates Lexi, picked him to be there. Why is Lennon in the president's pocket? We thought See, yeah, we thought that Lenin was not. We thought that he was controlling the president to some degree. Okay.
You know what this
Now,
reminds me of? Scandal. Did you watch Scandal?
no.
Oh, I wish there was more lesbians in that show because we could watch it. It's good, but it's very like secret organizations controlling the highest offices and really, really cool stuff. It's really good. And
Wow.
Kerry Washington's in it, and I love her.
Mm,
Okay, so go on.
we also find out that Lexi's uncle is an agent, and
Mhm.
she did not know that. And how weird is it that he's the head of Halcyon, who she is involved with, and this is a little sketchy. She hasn't seen him since she's a kid, and no wonder he's taken like such a personal interest in her. Um, it's just like the whole thing is very, very fishy, and he is described as like chilling.
Yeah.
It's not at all the kind of like trustworthy Lenin that you think has been
Okay, but
there.
with a name like Lenin, I just think of the Russian dictator who like killed like 50 million people. So it's very ominous that that's his name because that was not a good guy. I'm like really
Mhm.
scared. I'm excited for the next book though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we just got left hanging off a cliff here by our
A bunch of
fingernails.
cliffs.
Yeah.
Bunch of cliffs.
A
I really,
double cliff? Like maybe our
yeah.
toenails are hanging off one and our fingernails are hanging off the other, like we're a plank.
Oh my God, it made me think of like Emperor's New Groove when they're when they're back to back and trying to go up the wall.
Yeah, that's us.
That's us right now. Yeah, I'm just like, I also hope that there's some closure with the Ella Hayes story in the third book. I want to find out that she didn't do this on her own accord.
I I think you're gonna be sad.
Oh man. Whatever, I'll be a bone that I pick with
EJ.
when we talk to her.
Yeah.
Since she has agreed to come on the pod, which I'm so excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I love all these authors coming on our pod.
I know. Um, well, that brings us to the end. And you guys, we haven't decided on our next book yet. We'll let you know on our Instagram as soon as we do. But next, we have the authors from the Christmas pick coming on. So you can look forward to that.
Yay.
And we want to thank everybody who has gifted their time or their resources for the LA fires. And please continue to help where you can. This is going to be a long haul effort to get people what they need. There's a lot of people without homes right now and who've lost everything. So but seeing this community come together has been very, very beautiful, and I know that we will look out for each other and continue to do that. So thank you. And thanks for joining us today. We look forward to hanging out with you again next week.
Yes.
And anything you want to say, Lauren?
No, just for everyone in LA, stay safe out there. If you're in the fire areas at all, just please wear a mask. There's so many toxic things that the, air index doesn't actually count. So it could say like, oh, it's like moderately okay, but all the chemicals and things from the fires, they don't really count those. So please wear your masks out there and stay safe. And yeah, we will be talking to Rena and Ella next week. And then we will let you know probably next week what our book is. It will be a book for Black History Month, which is in February, which we're super excited. And hopefully we can, which with whatever book we pick, we can maybe reach out to that author and get them on here as well. So that would be awesome. And yeah, we love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.